Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here at the Zetwerk CNBC-TV18 Defense Manufacturing Summit. It's a pleasure to have the Minister for Medium, Large and Medium and Large Industries and Infrastructure in the state of Karnataka, Mr. MB Patil. And we would be speaking to him about the defense industry. But let me ask you about the defense industry. And Karnataka has historical roots when it comes to the defense industry. You've got over 10 PSUs, the likes of DRDO, ISRO, HAL, BEL, BHEL, BEML, all of them are here. Yes, and you've got more than 50 defense companies, 2,000 SMEs, 70% of the defense supplier base here in Karnataka. How do you think India today is poised to become a global manufacturer, a global supplier of defense equipment right now?
India presently is emerging as a global hub, as you know. So we are forcing an turnover target of around 1.75 lakh crores by 2025. And exports also around 40,000 crores. And as you know, Karnataka has a major share of it. One is because of the ecosystem here, like you rightly said, HAL, NAL, ISRO, BHEL, BEL, and Institutes of Science. So many organizations, prestigious organizations which are there, pre-independence also. They all play a very vital role for Karnataka in India to be the major player in the aerospace and defense market.
Let me ask you about the Karnataka Aerospace and Defense Policy that was launched in 2022. You recently said in an interview that Karnataka has ambitions of taking exports from Karnataka itself to about 25 to 30,000 crores in the next few years, attract at least 45,000 crores investments in the defense sector. You recently returned from the United States. What is the level of interest in US defense companies in investing in Karnataka and in India?
See, if you take overall, like out of the global 500 Fortune companies, more than 400 companies, they have their biggest centers next to US or even Samsung in Korea, in Bangalore. Their entire designing, everything happens here. So I did meet, I met with Boeing, I met with other all industries. They were all very, very positive. They are having one of Lockheed Martin. Everyone has Airbus. Everybody has this one for Bangalore, so that they want to grow in Bangalore. They want to associate in Bangalore. Bangalore being the only global city, dynamic city in the world, in India. Out of the 25 dynamic cities in the world, Bangalore is one. And naturally this happens because we have a very strong educational system. We are pioneers in private educations. This one, before 3 decades, there was no engineering colleges in private sector in neighboring Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and all this. Like Manipal, which started the pioneering this one. So we have a lot of talent over here. Talent, skill, it plays a very, very important role. And governments, as you rightly said, the policy. Like we have 20% subsidy on land and the machinery. And that the PLI varies from 1% to, and it depends upon the size of the investment and employment. It goes to up to 2.25. So lot many incentives have been giving, and we look each case individually. When it comes above 500 crores, we have a cabinet subcommittee which looks into the matter, and based on that individual company or the organization, so what best can we support them? So this is being the history of our state, and of course now we have, after I being the industries minister, I have formulated vision groups for everyone, all these sectors. We have identified various sectors like Air Force and Defense, ESDM. We have a vision group involving all these stakeholders. It's purely the industry people are there in that vision group. Apart from the Invest Karnataka Forum, and we have a strategic committee also now. So by this, what happens is they can tell what they want.
Right.
And what is the global scenario? They can decide, and we are my Chief Minister Siddaramaiah ji. Although the industrial policy is there up to 2025, he said, "Again, you revisit that." Well, so we're coming with a new industrial policy also, and the inputs of all these vision groups will form our industrial policy.
Right.
So it is from them. It's not
very
from us.
interesting
It
to
is
see
from
that-
them. We receive it from them.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see that you're engaging with the industry. I'd like to ask you about India's targets as far as production and exports are concerned. When it comes to defense production, India altogether crossed the 1 lakh crore rupee mark in the last fiscal in terms of defense production. Exports for the first time crossed about 15,000 crore or 16,000 crores. In the next few years, how much do you expect Karnataka to contribute to defense production and defense exports?
See, by 25, we want to have around at least 25,000 crores of exports from Karnataka. And what is happening in India is Karnataka itself, So whatever the growth story of India is associated with Karnataka. So naturally, 70% things come from here. So, and we look now what is happening in the manufacturing, this one, indigenization, although Government of India was also doing, encouraging to make it in India. We also see that the local components here, so around, which is up to 60% now, just to raise it to 80%.
Right. That is very important what you said, that the road towards defense production, Atmanirbharta in the defense sector, will go through Karnataka in a way. I would like to ask you about the government's self-reliance push. Ever since 2014, a lot of steps are being taken to encourage local production in the defense sector. You've got at least 5 indigenization or indigenization lists which have come out to make sure that we localize components, we don't import them, import dependency reduces. But why do you think this road to Atmanirbharta, despite the edge that we had in Karnataka, has been a little slow over the last few decades? And what can be done better in terms of making locally and making for the world?
See, any country becomes, which is self-reliant, it makes them very, very strong. So at many times, Bangalore, I visited US recently, as you rightly said. So wherever we go, the designing things happens here in Bangalore itself, all the global players. So we are concentrating on manufacturing now. See, the global, all the components manufactured, when we this manufacturing, we had China. China not because of, lot many people used to say that labor is cheap. No more labor is cheap in China. We're better off than China and Vietnam when it comes to labor. It is the skill which is driving the force. And we have all those skill in Karnataka. We have best of the engineering colleges, best of the IIT, and we have the skill development program. We have a separate skill minister. It can be tailor-made. Tomorrow, if somebody wants anything, it can be tailor-made so that components manufacturing would happen. So 100%. So we are aiming at 80% now. So if that is the case, it makes things very, very comfortable for us. So that not only designing happens in India, the manufacturing of the components happen here. We have acres in Belgaum. It's a private SCGA. Mr. Arvind Melligari, he's doing a fantastic job there. So he's supplying for Airbus, Boeing, and all this, the parts over there. And not many other, we have around 2,000 MSMEs and all this. So with Government of India's support, if Government of India supports us a lot, we can have common facilities for all these industries and all this. So if further push is given by Government of India, especially to Karnataka, as we excel in this field, so things can be much, much, much better, and we can achieve the things very faster. Of course, as you said, in the last 2 decades, last 2-3 years, we had this Corona thing. But during Corona also, let me tell you, it was Karnataka, which never stopped any industry. They were functioning, they did the job, and the global chain was maintained by Karnataka. Right. Not that it did not stop here.
That's great to hear. I'd also like to ask you about the Atmanirbharta push of the government. Do you think the government, the central government, is taking states along, because the role of states, as you've been pointing out, is critical in increasing our defense production. All the policies that are being made from the central government, do you think they're taking the views of states on board?
I do not want to criticize government of India, but I expect a lot. What the expectations of ours is not met. So we expect a lot from government of India. There should be more liberal to states where they excel. So for example, when it comes to aerospace and defense, when it comes to IT, when Karnataka is excelling, having the entire ecosystem here and entire production happening here, entire exports happening from here. So we'll expect a lot. It is not up to the mark. We are not being supported as our expectations are there. We need more, much more in fact.
Right. I'll break that down into two parts. One, give us a sense of what Karnataka itself is doing right now to make it easier for defense companies to make in India, to encourage defense MSMEs, and what more incentives or policies, attractive policies, can the defense companies expect from you for the state of Karnataka?
No, I told about what incentives we have. I told about we give 20% on the subsidy on land, incentives on 20% incentives on their manufacturing. This one PLI based on from 1% to 2.25, depending upon the size, the employment, and everything. And need be we go with the cabinet subcommittee for special concessions for this one. This has all been done by government of Karnataka. So if central government supports us, we can do much more of subsidies, much more of incentives, and they can help us in forming industrial parks, SEZs, and all this. So with special this one, we can make it much. We can double it, in fact, in a very, very short period. That is what we expect. This all these things happening by our support. This is the state support I'm speaking about.
When it comes to central government support, you're saying that you expect much more, and there's much more that Karnataka can do if there was support from the center. If there were 2 or 3 things which are immediately needed by the state of Karnataka, which you feel can really propel the growth of manufacturing, defense manufacturing in Karnataka, what would those be, sir?
So we can definitely increase the incentives. If government of India shares their part in giving incentives in manufacturing, if they join hands with us with the industrial parks, the SEZs and all this, giving special concessions, tax holidays. Earlier IT industry at one point of time, had 10 years concession, income tax concession. So that is no more there. Now SEZs are becoming, people are withdrawing from SEZs now. So this being the case, if they give us more incentives, more funding for all these industrial layouts, industrial parks and incentives for manufacturing here, and even to the smaller people like the MSMEs which are there, and they are the great employers, more than the big industries, and they can help us in the entire component manufacturing in India.
Now, in terms of fresh investments coming in, fresh companies coming and setting up shop, what is your sense? Are we going to see some major announcements from global companies for the state of Karnataka in terms of setting up joint ventures, setting up manufacturing, or maybe expanding R&D and manufacturing operations here?
Naturally, it's happening. It's a continuous process. It's happening here in Karnataka. You take, for example, of Foxconn. So Foxconn is investing around $2 billion now. You take other states, wherever they're in, whether in Gujarat or Tamil Nadu, their investment size is around $100 million or something like that. But they're investing $2 billion here. And if they're just had a meeting with them, some smaller issues over there, and which I'm personally resolving. So everybody is looking at India, and when in India, naturally, Karnataka.
Absolutely. And of course, that ecosystem is provided by the state of Karnataka. Now, over the years, the indigenization process, the localization process in the defense sector has moved very slowly. Over the last few years, there has been a lot of geopolitical volatility, sir. We're seeing two wars, one in the Middle East.
Yeah.
We're seeing the Ukraine-Russia war. We have an adversary in China.
Israel also, when it comes to aerospace and defense,
Yes.
Israel also plays a very vital role.
Israel plays a very
Israel
vital
and
role.
France are the two countries,
Yes.
And Israel being again a leader in aerospace and defense, the war in Israel also will have a toll on.
Will have a toll on us, sir. US, a key ally, is also now caught up with what's happening in Middle East, also with Ukraine. How critical do you think is it now for India, both the center and the states, to move very fast towards the indigenization roadmap, considering the environment we are in right now?
That's what I said. No, from 60%, we're aiming at 80%. I think 80% is a big size. 80% is a big size, So we can further move to 90, 100, totally can do it here and all this. And I do not agree with one point. It's not happened in these years. So this happened when you take about HL, NAL, BHL, BL, and all this has been several decades, That song system has been there, not now. So those period, that time we had been into aerospace and defense.
Right.
So Karnataka has that great heritage, history.
You're absolutely right, because HAL has now a deal with GE of the United States to make jet engines here in India. There will be transfer of technology to the tune of almost 80%.
Yeah.
And those engines will be manufactured either in Karnataka or in HAL facility in Odisha. How do you think we can utilize our defense PSUs better? And probably you're the best person to answer it, considering so many of the major defense PSUs are here in Karnataka.
So if there is no political interference, let me be honest, if there's no political interference, then naturally everything should come to Bangalore. And I hope so. There won't be any political interference.
Right. We can understand that, because there is always this competition between the center and the states that may be slowing down things.
That's their own ruled states and opposition states. That difference should not come up. That difference in development system, that difference should not come up. Here and there, we are facing that problems, but I not that should not happen. If Karnataka grows, India grows. If some other state is very strong in some sector, this one comes over there, there's nothing wrong.
Right.
We also don't object that,
Right.
So it should be. We should not have that mindset of that Karnataka is a opposition ruled state and all this like. So the government of India should also understand. I hope they'll understand.
Right.
I'm not blaming them. They understand that Karnataka is strong, and Karnataka, if it comes to win Karnataka, things will be much better. They have the skill, they have the entire base over there, ecosystem there. It makes things much more easier for India's growth.
Currently, the central government is investing in 2 defense corridors, one in Uttar Pradesh, one in Tamil Nadu. You think they should be considering Karnataka now?
Naturally. When the entire 70% of the India's growth story happens in Karnataka, why not Karnataka?
So is that your ask to the government right now? You've got the budget coming up. It's not going to be a full budget. It's only a vote on account. The full budget will only be in July. But if you were to ask a few things for the Indian defense industry, what would those be? What would be your recommendation to the center?
So that's what I said. See, first of all, if to develop state-of-the-art industrial parks, SEZs, and for us to provide more incentives and all this, government of India should come to help. You take the example of semiconductors. So you have Micron, which has set up in Gujarat. What is the story behind it? So Micron, they are not bringing the entire funding from there. It's not happening from there. Government of India is supporting 50% of it.
And from the state government?
Yes, and 30% from the state government. 50% from the central government, 30% from the state government. Rest is Micron says 20%.
Yes.
On the same model, 80% goes over there.
India, yeah.
If the same story is been done here, in the similar lines, with the ratio being different, whatever policy, if the government of India does that, I think things will be much better. You should not restrict it to one company and one state. And one sector, it should be across. Government should give focus to aerospace and defense. And if the same thing happens like what has happened to Micron in Gujarat, here to Karnataka, we will be faring much better.
Right. Minister, you are widely traveled and an engineer by training as well. He made it very clear that he is a civil engineer when he was entering the hall. But I'd like to ask you about your own talks that you've been having with countries like Israel, the United States, when it comes to manufacturing. What are you doing at the level of the state government in order to make sure that companies based here, MSMEs based here, can export more and have more tie-ups with countries like Israel, France, Russia, and United States for that matter?
See, earlier we had this concept in India that, and still we do have, like global investors meet. They all come here. They find out their sourcing partners and all this. That's one way of encouragement. But now when I went to US this time, it was much more effective. When we went to the company, I was so happy. We had in 14 days, we had meetings with 32 companies, apart from being some organized Indian diaspora and all this, even Karnataka diaspora, everything. But when we go there, meet them personally, they tell about what they want, and we can tell what can support. That being a story, meeting them also makes a big difference. What did I felt? I felt it is more effective than global investors meet. So such as this one, if proper incentives are given to MSMEs to have exports, give them for common facilities for them, and give them incentives to export, and get them the right tie-ups, contacts by the state government and the government of India, the MSMEs will grow. They are very much capable, and they are the income generators of the country, and they are the people who give the most of the employment. I went to Hubli once. So in Hubli, the meeting was happening. So I said, sir, you look up the top companies. Top companies, they have invested 8,600 crores. The small scale industries, MSMEs, we have invested around 8,200 crores. They have given a job of around 8,000 people, but we have given a job of 2.5 lakh people. Lot many things are needed. CC is not that. The large industry is also needed. Even the small scale industry, they are very much capable.
Minister, thank you very much for joining us today, giving us your holistic view on defense manufacturing in Karnataka and why the road to Atmanirbharta will actually flow from the state of Karnataka itself. Thank you once again for taking out time from your busy schedule to speak to us.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here and talking to your network.
Thank you so much, sir.